Good morning, everyone. We are going live on our platform. And we always give you guys live value. Every Tuesday, we're talking about the laws of success. This month, we're talking about imagination and how imagination is the greatest nation, how it's created our reality, how imagination has brought forth so much technology. And we really don't think about the advances we made with the creative imagination. But if we really look towards everything that is natural, everything that's beyond nature is what man has brought into the world. Everything that is beyond nature is not natural. That means our consciousness has more divine light, more consciousness. When we look at your awareness, you get a better understanding that your awareness takes you beyond conditions, circumstances, people, places, plots. Your imagination has always led you beyond where you're at. But rarely are you using your imagination to go beyond where you're at. This is the key. This is why so many people stay stuck their whole life. Not because they can't do more, because they stop thinking. Now you would normally think, well, no, everybody thinks. Well, the truth is they really don't. Thinking truly means imagining. And if you were really imagining your state of reality, you would always be shifting it. But why is it that you stop shifting it? At what point have you stopped shifting reality? Now you may say, well, I live every day and I create my own reality. Well, you think that you're creating your own reality, but the truth is, at some point, you stop shifting reality. You stopped imagining beyond the conditions and circumstances, and you conformed. And this is why the majority of people stay stuck. Not because they can't do more, because they don't know how, and they don't even recognize at what point they stopped growing, at what point they stopped changing, at what point they stopped desiring. This is huge because it's your whole life. And if you stop and think and you look at the lives of the people around you, you will begin to notice a plan as well, a pattern plan. You will begin to notice that they've been repeating reality. They've been repeating their ideas for how long? You can maybe go back and see the people around you. Some it's been 5 years. Some it's been 10. Some of it's been 20. And as you continue to look, you will find people it's been 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. When you really begin to become aware, truly aware, not just to say I'm aware, truly aware of when people stopped imagining and creating circumstances beyond what they knew, you will begin to notice that they've been living the life plan, the same pattern plan, for years. So many people are unaware. They say that the average individuals on levels of consciousness, levels of awareness, they say that 60% will never become aware that they're not aware. Now, I'm not saying this. Research it yourself. 60% will never become aware that they're not even aware. They just continue to live the life that they live. Where are you at on this evolution? It is. It's an evolutional track. Where are you at on the creative process? Where are you at on imagining? When have you stopped imagining beyond conditions and circumstances? When have you fell into repeating the same day every day? How old are you? Now, this is going to cause you to really think, which means imagine, which means to go beyond where you're at, and then review, reason with yourself, reason with the ideas that you've been using for how long? When have you given up? At what age have you given up and you started to conform and act and behave as you do? This is so important because if you don't become aware, whoop, it's another year. Bam! Another 5 years, 10 years will go. And for some, 30 years, 40 years down the road, they're wondering what happened. I talk to a lot of people. I visit with a lot of professionals, businessmen, businesswomen, people that are really doing it big. They want to get better. They want to go beyond where they're at. Normally, when I work with somebody, they're normally doing over 300,000, 500. They're normally in the millions. And they're looking for this information. Why? Because they continue to push until they couldn't anymore. And then I recognize there's a whole flock of people, a flock of them, that are earning under 100,000, under 150, under 200,000, and they don't look for this information. It's mind-blowing. You would think if you watched the majority of people going in that direction that they were right, but history has shown that they keep going the wrong direction. And they're not working on changing themselves. Personal development is a choice, and it's a decision, and it's always a decision away. But it's rare you find somebody that's making that decision that's earning over 300, 500, that's already earning millions. It's rare you find somebody that I go down the steps, and I've worked with people that are earning $1 billion a year. Why? Because they've reached the limit of what they know. They've gotten to the point where those programs or paradigms have a hold of them, and they don't know how to get unstuck. And this is normal for everyone. We all get there. Everybody will get to the point where they cannot go beyond what they know. This is reality for everyone on planet Earth. We come into a body, we will move out of a body. And in the time and space that we moved in and we move out, we have a mindset. And the truth is, you already have a target. You already have a plan. You already even have a desire. You have something that's moving you in a direction. And when you're not in control, that idea has control over your reality. That's the truth. The truth is, you're in a whole life full of personal development, but it's rare you became aware of it. You have been developing yourself from the beginning of time to want to stand, to want to walk, to want to run, to go through school, to get out of school, to go into your environment. Whether you went to college, whether you didn't go to college, whether you finished high school, it doesn't matter. You are in a life lesson of development. But at some point, you stop developing yourself. At some point, you will conform. And this is completely normal. Normal. You've got a perfectly operating brain. Your brain is meant to protect you, to slow you down when you're going beyond your comfort zone, to slow you down whenever you're going beyond what you know. This is completely normal. What's not normal is going beyond it and finding the material that take you to going beyond it, and then stay consistently focused and learning how to go beyond what you know. This awareness will bring you to the light. It is not what you know that's holding you back. What you don't know would free you. This information that we teach is true education. And what you don't know would change your whole life. What you know is the problem. What habits you have are the problem. What programmings you have are the problem. The paradigms that you've already developed is the problem. You have a habit. I have a habit. We all have habits. When are you going to get out of the habit of being yourself? That self is the problem. We must learn to advance. We must learn to imagine beyond what we know. It's not good enough to be aware. You have to want to change. It doesn't help to say I'm going to do it and not do it. You've got to actually know how to discipline yourself. I watch people even come in and say, I'm ready for change, I want to change, and then they're off doing what they normally do. I watch people come in and they don't get the results. They didn't stick with the change. You got to literally set a goal and work towards that goal. And if you're not willing to discipline yourself, to work towards a goal you've never done before, until you change yourself, you're not going to grow. Why? Because you're letting the old paradigm, the old program control your behavior. You've got to literally discipline yourself, give yourself a command and go and do it. Maybe you've done some small goals. Well, it's time for a bigger one. If you're still not living the way you want to live, you haven't set a big enough goal. And you haven't stuck to it till it changed you. The problem is you. The problem is the way you think. Goals are not to get, they're to grow. When you set a goal that's going to change you, change your habits, change your routine, change your behavior. When you set a goal that's bigger than you, that you have no clue on how to do, all of your reality is going to change. If and when you decide to do this, what I'm saying. If not, you go back to what you know. I've gone through time and time and time of working on myself. I've set goals beyond the people that are around me. And it gets to the point where then I've got to shift. When your goals are bigger than you, when you get to the point where your goals are bigger than the people around you, you've got to shift. If not, we stay right on track with them. We stay right on track with where they're at. This is real. It's not a game. Life is not a game. If you have comments, you have questions, put them on the site. We'll be happy to even bring them forward on the call. Life is filled with creative imagination, but only by the people that are willing to act them out. Everything else has already been created. If you're surrounding yourself with people that are not thinking beyond conditions and circumstances and creating them, they're stuck too. I've had to experience this. Why? Because I don't want to stay where I was at. I put myself through this regime of growing and developing myself because I always knew there was more. There was more out of life. But you've got to literally change who you are, change the people you surround yourself with, and find people that are going in the same direction. It has been known and has been said that you will always be the medium of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Look around. Are they going where you want to go? Are they getting the results that you want? Normally, everybody's more or less the same. A little bit more, a little bit less, but more or less the same. When we look at the imagination, the laws of success, we are looking at the creative process. The creative process is what takes us beyond conditions and circumstances. Imagination is the most important factor entering into the art of selling. Imagination is the most important art when you enter into the art of business. Imagination is the most important part in the entrepreneur. Imagination is the most important part in the serviceman, whatever service you're in. Imagination is the most important part in any driving force that's going beyond what they know. When you're setting a path into a reality that's uncharted, unknown, the imagination is a gift. You could go nowhere else. And as you tap into that imagination, you're tapping into an infinite field of consciousness. Imagination may be used effectively in any cell, whether the cell of the services of a company to the cell of a company. But everywhere you look around, you'll find this integrated law of imagination and service. Sales and service. Imagination, sales, and service. It doesn't matter where you go. Look around at any company and you'll find these three aspects: sales, service, and the value the company is delivering. This is why you can never get away from imagination. Imagination is the thing that has evolved every one of those areas. From the entrepreneur that decided to build, to create something, to the people that work systematically in the company, serving. Every function goes back to its divine right and from the spurring of desire of the creative imagination, wanting to go beyond what it knows. And we had to develop every region of every company, every region of every business, every region of everything goes back to the imagination evolving itself beyond what it knows into a new distinguishing factor. When we look at the post office, where did we get the idea to write letters and send them around the world? Desire, wanting to talk to people that have spread out around the world. The communication to desire to send a letter to a loved one that is spreading and going around the world. That desire to be able to communicate at one point in time when there was no telephones, no direct communication, was brought forth through the imagination. So that we could still communicate to a loved one from around the world, from one city to the next. Imagination took them to draw, create letters, to create a platform, to create an organized plan, a blueprint for other men and women to serve others in the delivery of their mail. Look at the imagination extending itself in the apparatus of phones, technology, video now. Zap right in. Desire is the function of the mind. And when you don't understand that function, you use it very limited, in a very limited way. And normally the individual uses it the rest of their life when they got to what they know. And it stops there. It stops growing. The individual will stop using their imagination once they think they've gone far enough. And they don't develop their imagination any further, but they continue to use it for what they know, not knowing that they were supposed to keep changing it, evolving it. And then they repeat the lesson every day the rest of their life, wondering why they can't get out of the rut they're in. Imagination just stopped imagining. And they conformed, and they fall into a routine. If you didn't know, it's time you know. At least somebody's telling you you can continue doing for the next 20, 30, 40, the rest of your lifetime here on this planet. And more or less everything will be the same unless you change. Unless you change something about you. Unless you change something inside of you, nothing changes. This is real. Programming is real. Habits, real. Paradigms, real. They're written in the bank statement. They're written in the bank account. They're written in the home you drive, the home you live, the car you drive. They're written in the trips you take, the trips you don't take. Your paradigms are written all around you in happenings, experiences. You cannot get away from it. Staring you right in the face. You've gone as far as you know. You look at the car. You've gone as far as you know. You look at the house. You've just gone as far as you know. You look at the things inside of the house. You got to replace things. You got to change things. Oh, I don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. No, you just haven't gone farther than what you know. There's nothing wrong with you. Not a thing wrong with you. We've helped develop people. I've helped develop people that are earning under 20 grand a year. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not aware. You're just not aware. Life could be anything you want it to be. Awareness takes you beyond. When you have the right information, when you have the right literature, books, knowledge, you change yourself. But when you don't, we're off to the races again. It's time you invest in you. If you're watching these over and over again, it's because you want to change, but something inside of you is holding you back. No accidents. That's the program. That's the paradigm. When you leave here, we're fixing to close off. We're going to move to another class of Spanish. Nothing changes if you don't change. You go back to being you. You go back to the job. You go back to the business. You go back to doing the things you're doing. You go back to being stuck. You think that life is changing, that you're changing life. You're not. You're just rearranging the things over and over and over again, thinking something's going to change. It's not. You change when you make the decision that you're going to change yourself. That's the only time. Take a look at what we're doing. Subscribe. Get involved with changing yourself. And invest in yourself, because nobody can change you, only you. This is an inside job. Take a look at what we're doing. Thank you guys, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Great day, everyone.